Mahindra is jumping headfirst into the electric age with a series of new cars, the first one of which is the XEV9. It was launched recently with a very competitive starting price, Rs 21.90 lakh. We had a brief look at the car when it was launched, and today we have it with us, and we're going to take a much more detailed look, so do join us. You buy a Mahindra because you want presence. They have always made large cars, they've always made impactful cars, and they've made cars that are popular in movies where power is always some kind of central idea. And this car is no less. It's a large vehicle, it's 4.7 meters, putting it much on level with a whole bunch of three-row vehicles. And it's a coupe SUV, which means that it's something unique, right? And then the third thing is that it's an EV, which means that it's even more unique. And there's also the fact that Mahindra has never attempted something like this before, and it has come out with some pretty decent results. When you look at the face of the Mahindra XEV, there are quite a few elements to catch your attention. One is, of course, Mahindra's new Infinity logo. This is the first car to debut it. You also get this large LED DRL that does a kind of light dance when you look at it in different angles. You also get low-set headlamps and a large, very large grille-less face that adds to the imposing presence of the vehicle. You also get these power bulges on the hood that add a kind of muscular stance to the vehicle. At 4.7 meters, the Mahindra XEV9 is a pretty large car and not short of presence at all. In fact, when you combine it with the kind of color palette that Mahindra has chosen for the vehicle, kind of rich shades, you're not going to miss the vehicle, and also this blacked out lower edge that gives the car a really imposing presence. Some of the other major highlights include the pop-out door handles, made famous by the XUV 700. These large 20-inch wheels. In fact, that's the first time that I think Mahindra has put 20-inch wheels on one of its vehicles. It's got this very nice aero fan-like pattern for the wheel design. This is of course a top spec model, and probably when we get to see the lower variants, we may just get to see either one with steel wheels or less complicated alloy patterns. Of course, you can't miss the coupe SUV shape without seeing it at the back. Look at the way the roofline kind of curves towards the back, and that has some issues when we're driving, which we'll get to in the driving section, but gives the car its coupe SUV look that it needs, the kind of bulked up stance where it tips slightly towards the back, it lifts slightly toward the back. The rear door handles are pillar mounted, right, to give the car a completely smooth appearance. The biggest bit of the XEV's presence, shtick, if you want to call it that, is the fact that you get the coupe SUV roofline. Now, the coupe SUV roofline is of course achieved by a roofline at the rear that flows into a massive boot area that kind of gives the car an upward stance, and that is visible here. You get the sloping roofline, you get the massive boot with the Infinity logo and XEV written there. You get some kind of sporty elements in the bumper. You of course get a contrast colored bumper. We said, there's a black cladding all around to give the car a contrast color appearance. Now, this has resulted, like we said, in certain visibility problems, especially when you're driving. But if you want this look, then Mahindra seems to have done quite a nice job. Oh, and before we wrap up the rear section, you get these huge LED tail lamps. They're in a way, they're kind of symmetrical with the ones in front because they have roughly the same shape and they have light flowing the same way. But like we said, they give the car a really nice presence. We're here in the front row of this Mahindra XUV9, and here is where all the action happens. Some of the major highlights or major innovations that Mahindra has brought to this car for the first time. The first is you get a triple display. That's 3 screens, 2 on the passenger side and 1 on the driver's side, right? That's the instrument cluster. They're all massive units, high quality graphics, lots of nice little things, filled to the gill with features, right? Filled with a lot of features, some easily accessible via physical buttons, some that you need to dig through the menus, a mix of both. Some of the other major highlights include this kind of rectangularish steering wheel with the regen buttons on it, and also the controls for the volume as well as the cruise control. You get nice high quality materials in the center console with lots and lots of gloss black plastics, and as we always say about gloss black plastics, They make everything look premium at not all that much a price, but they are dust and fingerprint magnets, and that's something you can see straight away. We've been shooting this car for about half a day now. We've been driving it, and already you can see a lot of dust and fingerprints that is collected up on it. It's one of those things you just had to get used to. Headroom, shoulder room, really not an issue. Shoulder room for two people. I mean, you have this massive center console, so it's two people in front. Really not an issue. Under thigh support, because there's a battery pack underneath, you do tend to feel it's lesser, but because this is a skateboard platform, Mahindra has been able to work on it, and our guess is that whatever would have been offered on an equivalent ICE converted to EV, this is a lot better. Overall, very nice place to be in. We had to point out one or two things. One is the view all around is not great. The rear visibility is practically useless. You can't see much at all. One, because of the sloping roofline, and two, because of the massive headrest that's there right in the middle. The other is you can't see very well out of the front also, because the front is high. The sides are relatively easier to judge when compared to the rest, but overall it's a nice place to be in. And finally, you also get these nice white interiors with this kind of green inserts in it, which gives the car a nice premium appeal. We're not sure how many upholstery options will be offered with this car at the time of writing this review, but we'll leave a clarification in the description once we get the information. This is the second row of this Mahindra XEV 9, and it's actually a nice place to be in. Firstly, though, you get the beige whitish interiors, which adds to the premium feel. You get this massive glass roof with the Infinity logo in it, which adds to the premium appeal. But you also get some practical features, things like seat back pockets, USB-C charging ports, mounts for your rear screens. In our launch video, you can see that there are already screens on the mounts, but in this car that we are looking at today, there are no screens on the mounts, right? So our bet is that it's an accessory. We'll leave a clarification in the description below. Other highlights include seat back pockets, rear AC vents, a massive storage shelf at the bottom, 500 ml bottle holders in both the doors, window blinds, and of course a boss mode function. It's manual, but it works, right? You get a boss mode. All in all, like we say, it's a nice place to be in terms of comfort and features, even if it's a little lacking in under thigh support. If there is one thing that Mahindra has done, and that is to load up this car with power-packed features. The car that you see in our videos is a top-spec Pack 3 variant. The feature list for this includes the likes of an LED light package, 20-inch diamond-cut alloy wheels, 360-degree camera, glass roof with LED lighting, button start, triple screen layout with wireless connectivity, climate control with rear vents, ambient lighting, 5G-enabled connected car technology, power driver's seat, second row recline, and level 2 ADAS. While this covers most of it, there are a lot of smaller options either hidden within something else or not immediately noticeable to the naked eye. We will reveal the full feature list as more information comes along, which should be when prices for the other variants are announced over the next 2 months. The XEV 9 can either be had with a 59 kWh battery pack or a 79 kWh battery pack paired to an electric motor powering the rear wheels. The motor, mated to the 59 kWh battery pack, produces 228 bhp and 380 Nm of torque. The model has a claimed range of 542 km on a single charge. The motor mated to the 79 kWh battery pack produces 284 bhp and 380 Nm. This model has a claimed range of 656 km on a single charge. The battery can be recharged from 20 to 80% in just 20 minutes via a 140 kWh DC fast charger. It can sprint from 0 to 100 kmph in 6.8 seconds. On the dimensions front, the new XEV 9 has a wheelbase of 2.775 mm, while the ground clearance stands at 207 mm. We are here behind the wheel of this Mahindra XEV 9, and here are some of our initial impressions. Now, one of the things that Mahindra has wanted to do with not just this car, but I think with all of its EVs going forward, is to have a more involving driving experience. We're not talking just, like put the car in drive and go. They want to give you a level of customization and well, I won't even say customization, a level of involvement that will make you feel a lot more connected with the car. And that's something that also having an electric powertrain benefits from. And in that respect, they have given drive modes. So you get 3 drive modes. You get a range mode, you get an everyday mode, and of course you have to get a sport mode. And then in this, you can also have a road mode and a snow mode, right? As the name suggests, the range mode is for range, which means that it dulls the throttle, it kind of dulls the steering wheel also, right? You're looking at extending the range to the max, right? You want the car to be able to give you maximum juice from the battery, right? Switch it to everyday mode, the throttle becomes a little more responsive, or you could say the throttle becomes more responsive, the steering also becomes more responsive. And then when you get it into sport mode, the throttle is instant, right? You just tap on it and it's ready to go. Now, the thing is that the drive modes are nice, but there's one issue with that, which is that to access the drive modes, especially if you're using phone mirroring, you'll have to go back into the Mahindra interface, and having to switch between the two means you're that much more time off, looking at the road, rather, you can say that. But this is probably something you'll get used to or find a way around. The other nice thing that they've done, the system that they have created for this, is to add a progressive weight to the steering, right? This is something that you would not expect in this part of the market, given that most of these are big SUVs with not that much focus on driving dynamics and a bigger focus on things like ride quality and stuff. But Mahindra's addressed that, and the steering weighs up as you go progressive. You can think of it this way: they don't have the legacy of having to adjust the steering system from an ICE to an EV model, right? They have developed the steering ground up. So at low speed, it's extremely light. It makes the car easy to maneuver. But as you go, you can feel the weight increase on the steering wheel. Now, in terms of ride quality, we are here on a highway outside Chennai, and the car is actually riding pretty nicely. It's a little bit on the firm side, but I think that was expected, given that you have a gigantic battery pack underneath. The car this one weighs something close to well over 1.6, 1.7 tons. It's a heavy car, right? And you can't have it wallow along and maybe scrape the battery pack, especially if it's wallowing through a bump or something like that, right? It's a little bit on the firm side, but it's not uncomfortable as one would imagine, right? It's when you have these large sharp potholes, little imperfections on the road and all, it's actually taking them pretty nicely. And this we have said before also in other videos, that the way Mahindra does ride quality, because they've been making cars in India for Indians for a long time now, and they have understood roads very well, which means that they have got the idea of ride quality also very nicely, and it reflects well in this vehicle, right? You have these gigantic tires underneath with large rubber, and you have a large vehicle, which means that you have travel for the ride quality to do its thing, right? And this is, it reflects in that very well. But we'll give you a nice detailed look at that whenever we get the car for a longer time to either enter the Carwali garage, or if we get to test it, which should be sometime in early 2025, then we'd be able to tell you what the ride quality is actually like, how it responds to over really sharp potholes, big speed breakers and things like that. While the ride quality is good and the involvement in terms of steering ability and the response of the throttle, all that are very good, visibility is not great, and that is one of the things that comes with wanting to make a coupe SUV. The rear visibility is especially poor, one because the roofline slopes in a manner, thus limiting visibility, and you also by regulation have a headrest for the central occupant, which means rear visibility is not particularly great. But considering the price point at which this vehicle is, even for the entry-level model, we expect 360-degree camera to be standard across the range. Like we said, the rear visibility is not great, and the front is high. You want that coupe SUV look, then that it has to come at that cost. But it's not a difficult car to judge, especially if you have some years of driving experience with larger vehicles of this size. It's what, 4.7 meters. It's about the size of a Toyota Innova. And you ideally shouldn't have a problem judging the edge of the vehicles. But like we said, rear visibility is not great. Front visibility is also not particularly great. Side is not so much an issue, but again, because of the high stance, you don't get that great a view. If you get a chance to drive the XEV9 at some point after this video is out, do let us know in the comment section below what you think of the car, what you think of the modes. Is there anything that you noticed about the vehicle? You can let us know in the comment section below, and if you have questions, obviously, you can let us know that too and we'll answer them. Mahindra has made some bold steps in its electric journey. New platforms, new features, new interiors, new elements, new things like that. And of course, the result is these two cars. In this video, we'll be summing up this one. And in a connected video, we'll be summing up this one. First, let's start with this. This is the XEV9, right? It's the more premium of the two, the larger and the more family-oriented SUV, right? It's comfortable inside, lot of space, great visual presence, great performance, right? Great fun to drive. Right, you get a lot of power on tap. All you have to do is just press the throttle lightly and it just shoots forward. You got a lot of, for want of better term, interaction with the car, right? You get to adjust driver modes that adjust the sensitivity of the throttle. The steering is responsive, it's nice, they've tuned it in well. And of course, this being a Mahindra, it rides beautifully. Now on the flip side, there are a few issues. One is the screen tended to glitch a bit. It was slow to connect and slow to respond at times, but Mahindra has said that these are prototypes and when the final version comes along, it won't be an issue. The second is also the fact that rear visibility is almost non-existent thanks to the slope roofline and the way that the glass is positioned, and also the fact that you have a large headrest for the middle rear occupant. You can't see out of the back, but this car gets 360-degree camera and is the first, not just in the segment, but I think in this part of the market, to get automatic park feature. So two major issues that you would need a rear view out of has been taken care of. The other big flaw, for want of better term, or issue that we can point out is that under-thigh support is kind of poor because you have a large battery pack underneath, right? And that is bound to take up some space. Even though this is a born electric platform, it's a skateboard platform, the battery pack has to sit somewhere and you do have issues with under-thigh support. Now, at the time of making this video, Mahindra had only announced one price for the Pack 1 variant, which was 21.90 lakh. The other prices will be announced over the course of the next few months, and also the car will reach showrooms, and finally there'll be a launch by the end of this financial year. At that time, we will get the car for a more detailed review. What do you think of the Mahindra XEV9? Do let us know in the comment section below. And before we sign off, here's a reminder to like, share and subscribe, and also hit that bell icon to be notified the instant we put out a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.